James Davis is here, and he's got this new show on Comedy Central, Hood Adjacent. Welcome to the studio. How you doing, man?
Great.
Good. Glad to hear that.
Yeah, Kevin can't stop talking about you.
I have been, yeah.
I mean, I feel great. I love to have Kevin not stopping to talk about me.
It's kind of like he's got a little thing for you. What's going on here?
He's got a comedy crush on me. It
I
happens.
do. I got a comedy
He
crush
really
on him.
does.
It happens.
Well, I saw you. I mean, you kind of started off with Kevin Hart, and Kevin Hart's got a thing on Comedy Central where it's kind of like an up-and-coming thing, and so...
Next level.
Yeah, next level, and I saw that first, and he had James on there, was talking about it, and I kind of saw the premise for his show, Hood Adjacent, and I'm like, okay, that's kind of cool. That's kind of funny because I'll let James tell you, but you grew up in South Central Los Angeles.
Yes, I grew up in South Central. I grew up in the hood.
Yeah.
But not the hood.
Yeah.
Like, not like the hood you see in the movies or the television shows. So I grew up literally a block away from where it gets bad. So I grew up hood adjacent, and I also went to private school, liberal arts college, played competitive golf, middle school, high school. So except for where I lived, I wasn't in the hood at all. So I have this mentality as far and like a physical hood adjacency.
Yeah,
to my personality.
It is. And so, you know, I started watching the show, and I didn't know what to expect when I saw it on Comedy Central. And I've tuned in. You've got 2 episodes that have aired so far. And what he's doing, I think, is not only great, but I think it's necessary. Because, you know, he handles a lot of stuff, and it's a lot of kind of like what it's like, you know, being black. And if you're not growing up around that kind of stuff and you don't see that kind of stuff, I'm watching the show and I'm like, okay, that's interesting to see the perspective of the stuff that you tackle, of the stuff that you talk about. You know, one thing, in fact, I got into a conversation this last week with a buddy of mine. I was telling him about it because he asked, and he's like, hey, what do you think is going on with race relations in America? Is it getting better? Is it getting worse? And I said, I don't know. I said, you know, and I'm trying to figure this out. I don't know if it's getting worse or if I know more. And I don't know. So that's kind of hard for me. Like, from your perspective, what would you say? Do you think it's getting worse? Or do you think that maybe white America is learning a little bit more from shows like you and what you're doing on Hood Adjacent and other stuff like that, from your perspective?
I feel like, in general, race relations are getting better, but they're not at where we want them to be.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's just a fact of white America learning stuff. Black America needs to learn stuff. Hispanic America needs to learn stuff. And so my show is about giving everybody a platform or an arena to learn about other cultures. Now, since I'm black, I can only give you a tour of the black experience. But I give you a tour of the black experience, respecting whatever organic ignorance you might have because you're not black. So I'm not like, boo on you for not knowing. I'm like, I'm going to tell you. Or if I say a phrase that is like in the urban vernacular, I'm not going to just let it go over your head. I'm going to explain it to you so you can always be with me on this journey. Because I feel like if we're more educated on everyone's experience, it's harder to have these stereotypes and blanket negative opinions when you have specific information that can counter that.
And I think what you do is, in what you're trying to do, it's tricky because, like what you said, I think a lot of times when somebody brings up the black experience to white America, the first thing sometimes is a white person, you feel like they're accusing you. And sometimes your first reaction is like, I didn't do anything. Like, you know, you feel like, okay, like, why am I kind of getting this hate? Because I haven't shown you that. I'm not doing that. I'm not using the M word. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that. So why am I being accused and just kind of like lumped in? You feel like it's a reverse racism. Like, okay, just because you're white, you're doing what the bad part of the representation is. And for you on the show, I'm just kind of curious, like, what is the reaction so far with what you've done? Because, I mean, it's right there. It's on that edge. And I think that's a tricky balance of what you're doing.
For the most part, it's been a lot of positive feedback. People enjoy it. There have been some people who feel like I'm playing the black victim card or attacking white people. But I promise, from the beginning of my show, I made a mandate to my staff. Like, I don't want to be saying, hey, white people this, or hey, black people this. I'm talking to the general world. I'm just showing the general world what my specific experience is as a hood adjacent black man. And I feel like, you know, races are almost like a married couple. Your husband or your wife may tell you something that you need to work on. But that doesn't mean that you're a bad, you know, partner, or that they want a divorce, but you have to be aware of what you can do better in order to be better. And
Yeah.
sometimes when you find out something that you didn't know about or that you were ignorant of, and not because you chose to be ignorant, you just didn't know, there's a sort of defensiveness where I didn't know, and it's like, oh, it's cool, that's what I'm telling you. So
Yeah.
now we can move forward knowing this, and being aware is the first step to eliminating a lot of these issues, because a lot of the issues come from
Right.
people just not having the full information. I feel like I round out a lot of people's information on topics.
Yeah, and James is doing it with comedy. You know, the whole Colin Kaepernick thing, that was such a polarizing thing where he was kneeling during the anthem, because so many people, like, you know, they love patriotism. They want people to love this country. And I even saw a video that had come out on 4th of July that I thought was sad. And it was black people talking about how it's hard for me to identify sometimes as American. And the thing that James brought up in his first episode, he talked about, what is it, like the third verse of the Star Spangled Banner is talking about African Americans, black people, being an inferior race.
The third verse celebrates the death of slaves, and the originator of the Star Spangled Banner is quoted to have said that he believes that blacks are an inferior race. Mm-hmm. And this is the person who wrote the Star Spangled Banner. There's a third verse that we don't sing because it celebrates slaves, but no one knows about that. And I'm not saying people are bad for loving the national anthem or the Star Spangled Banner, but once again, I'm just going to round out your information about that song. And I didn't even bring up Colin Kaepernick. I just give you that information so you can then make whatever conclusion you want.
We're at a part right now in America where this is happening time and time again. You're seeing it where they're pulling down, and in fact, even in Hollywood, just south of here, they're talking about renaming several streets with Confederate generals that are on it. And people are saying, I don't want to live on this street with the name of this person. And we're having to really start to address some of the ugliness of America's past to say, hey, what is it going to take so that we can all try to get on the same page? And if it's something where the divide and the pain is so great, it might be something where white America has to say, look, there are some concessions that we're going to have to make. Because to me, it's sad when you have Americans saying, I can't identify being American. And there's part of it where you're like going, look, we need to all get on the same team and be a part of this.
Exactly. I mean, that's what my show's about, like getting on the same team. I want white America to be on the same team as black America. I want black America to be on the same team as white America. I have an episode about golf. I have an episode about gangs. I go on, I go on stage and I address every part of me from an honest perspective so that everybody can identify with some part of my story.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, I still believe that there's more similarities between us than differences. It's just that right now, there's such a focus on the differences. Like, maybe we didn't vote for the same presidential candidate, but we both like basketball. We both like chocolate cake. We both like ice cream. We both like, swimming. We both like the beach. We both like playing.
Let's realize there are a lot of similarities.
Yeah, let's focus
let's
on
educate
those.
each other on the
I
differences.
love chocolate cake.
I know. Yeah, on the same page.
Some people love it too much.
Right, exactly.